Betty, bring me everyone.
What do you mean, everyone?
Everyone!
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?
Let me explain something to you. I am not Mr. Lebowski. You're Mr. Lebowski. I'm the dude.
No one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle.
You can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Lord, you can imagine where it goes from here.
Welcome to the Zedos podcast. It's been a long hiatus, but we're back. Hello, Ken. Ken is with us today.
How do? Long time.
Yeah, a real long time. It's maybe about a year or so. I can't remember how long. About that, yeah. Thanks for joining us, Ken and Sach.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Yes. It's been a kind of a battle royale before the start of this. I'm going to introduce Neil. Hey, Neil, how you doing? Welcome back. Yeah, as I was saying, a bit of a battle royale trying to get the audio and video up, which is half of my problem. Was my fault even. But yeah, we're up and running now. So without further ado, how's everyone doing?
Good, man. Very good. How are you?
Yeah, been at home for the past 2 months, working from home, like everyone else, I guess. Ken, you've been working from home as well, haven't you?
Yeah, no, I mean, I have, I've been working from home since I come back from my stag. So,
oh, jeez, yeah.
16th of March, yeah.
My God, yeah, straight into quarantine. Because, I remember it hit just as your stag started, right?
Yeah, it was just kind of murmurings like, what's happening here? And then they started cancelling a few flights and we're like, nah, we're going to go. And to be fair, we had like no problems while we were out there. And then it really just kicked off on that week when we came back. So timing wise, it was kind of perfect.
Yeah.
You must have felt like that was one hell of a stag do, boy.
It was good.
Come back in there like we are shutting this.
Now I've had to delay my wedding for a year. I'm going to have another one. So.
Yeah. Oh man, that's such the. Yeah, I feel for you, Ken. I feel for you, man. Okay, let's get this picture started. Sach, I know you sent me the inventory, but I can't remember what was first. Do you have it in front of you by any chance?
Yeah. So Sony has hired S.J. Clarkson to direct an untitled Marvel movie for Sony for part of their Spider-Verse or whatever the hell they're calling it now. And
who's S.J. Clarkson?
S.J. Clarkson. She's a TV director. She did one of the Marvel shows. I can't remember which one. It might have been
Jessica Jones and
was it Jessica Jones? Okay, yeah.
Defenders.
Right, okay, yeah. And the rumour is she's doing the Madam Web movie because we all can't wait for some Madam Web in a wheelchair, just telling Spider-Man what to do and give other people quests.
If it's good, why not?
Yeah, yeah.
If it's good.
You know, as long as they have freaking Helen Mirren as Madam Web, I'm cool with it.
Oh, that's a great idea. I didn't even think of that.
I don't care who directs it.
I'd watch it just for that. If you can get The Rock in there as well.
That's a very good shout.
Yeah, that's good. That's good casting there, Neil. So, okay, when do they plan to start doing this?
After the pandemic, man.
No. In terms of continuity, where's it going?
That's all I got. I don't know, man. What are your guys' thoughts and where it fits with the MCU or whatever Sony's doing over there? I don't know. What's the general consensus, guys?
I mean,
I kind of feel. Oh, go on.
No, you go ahead, Neil. You go ahead.
I kind of feel like Sony is basically trying to be like, all right. So you have the Marvel in comics. You have 616, the normal Marvel universe, and then you have like the ultimate universe. You have, these other universes that span out. I feel like Sony's trying to be like the ultimate universe. So it's like, oh, we've got this is our universe of Marvel characters. I think that's the title of their division.
Yeah, it's the Sony Pictures universe of Marvel characters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they were making fun of that a few weeks ago.
Spunk. Why don't they just call it the Spider-Verse?
It's Spunk. Is what it is.
Yeah.
Spunk.
Yeah.
How did someone at Sony allow that to go through? That's ridiculous.
Maybe that person was a hardcore Marvel fan and thought it was a shit idea. So,
yeah, that's the kind of name where whoever came up with it was like, I need to fuck this up. It was like, nah, I can't let this run.
I mean, someone must be in the. That's clearly got to be a joke, because someone must be in on it to let it come that far. There's no pun intended, but just to let it get that far to seriously, Spunk. Was it Robert Barnett that had the actually good name for it? The Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse, yeah.
It should have been
I
the
think that's
Spider-Verse.
what everyone would say. It should have been the Spider-Verse.
It should be, because every character.
The Sony Spider-Verse.
Yeah, because it's like every character that they're addressing is heavily related to Spider-Man. So the point of just being like the Sony, I was like, you don't have access to any other characters. You have Spider-Man and Spider-Man characters. Don't call it. You coming up with this long ass title name. We're like, no.
Well, that's just it. They want to incorporate Marvel into the thing because of branding. Because if it's anything else, the casuals will just be, oh, it's not part of the thing, man.
Yeah, and anything that can link it to like an MCU type movie. But I don't understand why they're calling it, or if they're going for a Madam Web movie. For me, she should be sort of like your director of the characters, that woman behind the scenes who's kind of pushing characters to where they need to be.
Sort of like a Nick Fury almost.
Yeah, exactly that. And, you would have thought after the success of Spider-Verse that, it would have been like a Spider-Gwen or a Spider-Woman movie. I mean, they sort of like Black Cat and Sable movie for like ages that's supposed to be going on in the background. But, hey, it might be just what they're calling it at the moment, but I can't see a Madam Web movie. The idea of that character is just not there.
I agree with you.
Taking it as a just sheerly for the director that they chose, so S.J. Clarkson, because like once Sash, once you told me that she was going to direct it, I looked her up, and when I looked her up, I noticed that almost all of her credits are for TV, but I noticed that the kind of things that she's directed, not a lot of them, but a strong number of them seem to be quite female-centric.
Yeah.
So I can kind of imagine that what they'll do is it will be a Madam Web movie, but it will be like she'll kind of have like a Obi-Wan to Luke Skywalker type of relationship where she's kind of like instructing someone, and it will probably be someone like maybe Silk or a Spider-Woman, or maybe you say a Spider-Gwen or something. It will be a female character that they'll utilize to try and push this female character into the forefront as like a backup.
But if you think about it from a marketing point of view, so like say they did this, get Helen Mirren to that. If you had like this comic book movie with Helen Mirren in the middle of the poster or saying Madam Web, how is anybody under the age of probably like 35 going to go through that? That's true. It's not going to have the market appeal at all if it's labeled a Madam Web movie with that kind of thing. She needs to be the background character. Like you say, a perfect example is that Nick Fury thing. That character can appear in all their different Spider-Verse movies as this like reoccurring character. Could be in dreams. It could be in all these different kind of scenarios and sequences as she kind of tries to, expand her web to reach people and kind of thing. So, but yeah, it's kind of boggling.
Yeah, she's always been like a bit character. She's never had her own comic, yet she gets her own movie. I can think about 10 people that deserve their own movie that are in comics, that are bit players, Gambit. I don't know, man. Like,
Well, I mean,
we'll see. But you know what? Hopefully they get some good creative minds that actually know the IP and come out with something half decent. Because hey, surprise me. I mean,
Spider-Verse was awesome, man, and that was Sony's.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Spider-Verse
credit and see what they can come up with.
But I think Spider-Verse is probably what set all of this off, because of the fact that it's like, oh, you know, Spider-Verse showed that Spider-Man's history is so much richer and there's so much more that you can kind of drag in. And from what I gather, I mean, I'm just basically going off the end of, you know, the post-credits, one of the post-credits of Spider-Verse was you saw, I think it was Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I cannot remember who he was speaking to, but it was a female voice, I believe.
Maybe it's Madam Web.
So maybe it was Madam Web, and maybe like, because they're saying that this person's going to direct a female-led film, and I remember hearing that one of the ideas that was floating around was a sequel to Spider-Verse, but a female-centric one, so dealing with things like
Spider-Gwen.
Spider-Gwen.
Yeah, they were going to do a spin-off. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And so, I mean, she's been chosen to direct the female-led movie. It might not even be a live-action movie.
It's a good shout. Could be an animated. Yeah.
I mean, if it's as good as the Spider-Verse, then yeah.
Bring it on.
Yeah, I'm down with that. As to your question, Zach, meh.
That's fair.
I mean, it's ipso facto. It's either or either. I mean, when it comes to Sony, they seem to always like to rush into these things without thinking what's going on with the MCU as its core, and how that will affect the Spider-Man character if they want to interchange them with things. I think they all have to talk together in this because, as far as I'm concerned, the MCU has done no wrong. So
I don't know about no wrong, you know, like Thor: The Dark World.
I enjoyed the Dark World.
I'm not saying like it's the worst, like it's a terrible film, but
I mean, it's not great
in comparison to the highlights of some of the MCU, you know.
I still haven't seen Iron Man 2. I need to. That's the only one I haven't seen this far. I don't know why. It seems to elude me
because it doesn't really have any impact or anything else. So you have to.
Yeah,
I think it's about.
That's a glorious review.
It does introduce you to Black Widow, and a couple of other things which link in. But yeah, otherwise it's not that it's forgettable, but I think there was a bit of a change because I think they were going to have Jeff Bridges come back. The original brothers having come back for a sequel, but obviously then they changed things and they killed him off and stuff. But that would have been, I think, a little bit more interesting.
Yeah. I love Jeff Bridges' character in that.
Jebediah, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah, Jebediah Stane.
Yeah.
What a name!
Obadiah Stane.
Obadiah, that's it. Yeah.
It's still a name. Oh my god, what a name!
You know what? It's like you have to have a name like Obadiah if you're gonna be like literally on a. What was he on? One of those like scooter things.
Was he on a scooter?
He was on this weird scooter thing. It's like you just got two wheels, like a hoverboard, but you got handles to it.
I honestly can't remember that. I need to watch the Iron Man again.
See like security, like super, like mall security ride them.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
He was rolling on one of them with a big cigar.
Like one of those segways.
Segway.
Oh, right. Yeah.
He's riding a Segway with a big cigar in his mouth.
I know what you're saying now. Yeah.
And then he just parks and he's like, yeah. Rolling around like you have to have a name like Obadiah to roll like that.
Obadiah, I love it.
Or Paul Blart.
Yeah.
Paul Blart. Okay, so what's up next, Zach?
What's up next? So, Genndy Tartakovsky. I can't pronounce his name. I think that's his name. Wait.
Isn't his name Gendry?
Gendry. Yes. Gendry Tartakovsky, Samurai Jack, Powerpuff Girls, and more recently, Hotel Transylvania. Genndy Tartakovsky. he's teamed up with the creators of Popeye the Sailor Man to make his dream project, which is a Popeye film, which he's actually been trying to make for the past 20 years. Came close over at Sony Animations, where he made Hotel Transylvania, but they opted for sequels to that as they saw franchise rather than try Popeye, because they had the Popeye rights. So he was like, hey, this is my dream project. You got it over here. Let's do it. He did a little animation reel that hit the internet.
Yeah, test footage one,
test footage and stuff. And you know what? I actually thought it was really good, like way back when. I think we talked about it on the podcast pre-Force Awakens. I remember talking about it on the podcast, and I really liked it. I thought it was going to be a thing. And then Sony kind of pulled out of it because they were like, no, Gendy, Hotel Transylvania. Well, he's got all the monies now, and they want him to do Hotel Transylvania 4, but they don't have the rights to Popeye, in which case he's gone to the rights holders of Popeye, the guys that created the shit, and they've said, yeah, we love your sizzle reel. We want you to be the guy. So now he's trying to find a studio to back him to make his Popeye film.
Okay, I have one question to that. Will it be better than the one that came out in the 80s?
Robert Williams.
Well, it's going to be animation, so it's going to be all CGI. So it's going to be nothing like that.
It's going to be hard to beat Robin Williams, man.
All I'll say in regards to that is the last time I saw that there was a strong film from back in the day that was live action, and then they made an animated version of it, was The Addams Family recently.
Right.
That live action, the Raul Julia, Angelica Houston, to this animated one. Just didn't have that magic. It didn't have that glow.
I think Popeye is a character of the time. I just don't see it working. Kids won't understand him. That whole sailor shtick. I just don't see. I just don't see it working commercially. It's probably a passion project. It'll be definitely a passion project, but I can't see it making bank. I think
it's a tough sell.
Yeah, another thing with it, right, is like back in the day, it was like Popeye had to eat spinach to get strong, right? And that was at a time when most kids were of the thing of like they don't want to eat spinach. Now it's like, you're like,
everyone's vegan.
Everyone's vegan. Like there's kids having spinach in their breakfast, and they'd be like, oh wait, was it spinach or was it steroids? Because I drink green juice every morning and I'm not strong.
It's gonna. They're gonna have to reinvent the character a lot if they hope to do that.
How can you have a character like a cartoon character now that's smoking?
That's tough.
Actually got that pipe in his mouth.
Yeah, man can't be having that pipe. Nah.
He'll be he'll vape.
Yeah.
Well, it might be a vape pen.
Well, I don't know. If it's a passion project, for him, that could only
unless it's rated R, I'm not interested.
Yeah. Well, hey, this is the guy. This is the guy that did Samurai Jack and that new Primeval show on Adult Swim. Yeah, and that's R.
Is Primeval the one with the prehistoric guy?
Man.
The dinosaur and the guy. Yeah.
Wasn't that a show on ITV?
No, you're talking about it's a different show, but
it's a different show.
It was a show on ITV. It was Primeval. Oh god. Anyway, again, my 2 cents on that. They have to really redevelop the character. I mean, I don't know how you do that without changing him. And if you change him, it's what
not Popeye anymore.
It's what elements do you keep, what elements do you take out, what elements do you I mean, they fight over olive oil. I mean, the last time I saw a Popeye cartoon was Popeye and Son, and that was in the 90s. And they brought it up to date to a degree, but it was I guess show me a poster, show me a trailer, show me something that.
I mean, the test reel, it looked good. I mean, as it looked like Popeye and Olive and stuff like that, but again, just hearing him speak and the sort of like the slapstickness of it, it real still had that like 60s, 70s vibe to it. And I just think, it's just not going to entertain kids enough these days. They're not going to gravitate to a character like Popeye. You know, not going to go out and buy the T-shirts and the lunch boxes and everything like that. You know, he's fugly. Do you know what I mean? He's not an attractive character. So
who was his arch nemesis again? It was that big
Bluto.
guy. Bluto. Right.
Bluto, yeah.
Okay, if you break him down, he's generally a rapist.
Yeah.
He's always kidnapping Oliver, right?
Yeah.
But so's King Koopa so's Bowser and Super Mario, man.
Sure, but but over the years they developed his Bowser's character. He was a guy that stole the princess, and over the years he's just an arch nemesis to Mario now.
It's like,
didn't he have a kid with her?
Did she?
Yeah.
Mario was.
Bowser had a kid with.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. Look at. I'm talking about Mario. Which one's the one I hate? Sunshine, Mario Sunshine with the baby Bowser, and he calls her mummy.
I think he just called her mummy.
We're going into some weird territory right now.
Yeah, we are going into some weird territory, but I'm going to bring that weird territory because that's canon, and the kid's still in the games, and he's still calling her mummy, and I'm like, did they? Nah.
Wow. well, I'll leave it to the viewers. If anyone knows about this, comment. and that's why I'm putting a feather in there. Okay. So Scream 5, Satch.
Scream 5 looks like Sergeant. What's his name?
Is it Dewey?
Dewey's back. He's in Scream 5. And it's by the directors of Ready or Not, which is a great film. If you have not seen it, it's so hilarious. And scary. No, it's not really. It's more funny. It's comedy horror. I love comedy horror, which is why I like Scream. Yeah.
I mean, Scream. When Wes Craven did Scream, he was self-parodying his own genre.
Yeah, and plus, you got to understand, it was an original script by Kevin Williamson, I think it was, that wrote Scream, and I Know What You Did Last Summer and Dawson's Creek. Just thrown that in there. But
Dawson's Creek.
Yeah, he wrote Dawson's Creek, man. That was his own self-biography kind of thing.
And do you know what?
Don't you mess with Dawson's Creek. That was sacred.
I've got nothing bad to say about Dawson's Creek, but it's just such a random credit.
But I remember this, right? Dawson's Creek had me when I was like, Dawson wants to be a filmmaker. I was like, yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Like, good. Right. He's got his whole relationship with, Joey and
Fuck you, Pacey.
I was like, it's cool. He wants to be a filmmaker. He's good.
Right. Okay, so
back to Scream. Back to Scream, though.
Yeah.
Scream 5. Do we want it? I mean, it's been a while. Craven's dead.
No, I love Scream. Scream 2, even Scream 3 is not as bad as I originally thought it was. First couple of times I watched it,
I liked all three. I didn't have a problem.
I absolutely adore Scream 4, but I really genuinely am like, okay, one, Craven's no longer with us. That's a good enough reason to leave it where it is. Two, where you did it, where they ended Scream 4, is at a good enough place because, Scream 1 was looking at, it was looking at the idea of horror movies. It was like you said, Joe, it's self-parody.
Mm-hmm.
Scream 2 is looking at the idea of sequels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Scream 3 was obviously, yes, the trilogy and, the ending of things. Scream 4 was obviously, you look at things of like, Scream 4 is where you look at it from the point of view of like, we got reboots and remakes and sequels that come 10, 15, 20 years after the last installment. It's looking at those. There hasn't been a development in the consciousness of film right now to implement a Scream 5.
The only way they could go is milking the cash cow, milking the franchise.
It's the franchise. It's the reboot. It's the
But that's the thing. That's what
it's the prequel. It's the sequel.
Yeah.
It's How far did I Know What You Did Last Summer go? I know it went
Three.
Right. I still know
it's the IP rights being sold to another studio.
Yeah. Right.
You know, it's the Lucasfilm selling to Disney. It's the Marvel selling to Disney. You know, that's probably where it's going to go. I don't know if we're too far removed from that lot where when you take into account, because sometimes there's a blur for me between what was Scream and what was Scary Movie.
Yes, I know.
Scary Movie, the original title of Scream.
Yeah, and so, you know, sometimes for me, I'm just thinking, you know, has it been parody too much? Because at the height of it, it was brilliant. I remember when we were working in the cinema together, and we had a Scream movie came out, and me and I think James was there at the time. We both dressed up in the Scream outfits.
Yeah, I remember that.
we hid under the curtains at the bottom of the screen, and then jumped out when the trailers were on. We sat in the front. We sat in the front row, and then we had the ushers try and come and kick me out, and I stabbed them all to death. We were like freaking customers out, and it was so much fun. And
my God.
But now it is more of that. It's more of a joke mask than a scary mask. It all depends if they can capture the frightfulness of it again.
Yeah,
you know, they can build that suspense of that mask to make it scary once again.
Because the thing is, sorry, go on.
No, go.
Yeah, I feel like it's impossible to do for like multiple reasons. One, obviously, like I said, you know, there's reasons for Scream 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think another reason why it's difficult to recapture that fear that is presented through those films is because don't forget there was a Scream TV show that ran for there was a Scream TV show that ran for like significant seasons.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and it was like they had a completely different mask.
What?
There's a whole. I'm not gonna say it was a mess because the people I know who've watched it have said that they quite enjoyed Scream, the TV show.
Okay,
but I'm just like, it wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Is it the equivalent to?
But it ran for 2 seasons.
Jesus.
It, 10 episodes a season, and it's just, it exists. So the idea of making the idea of making a Scream 5 is like, well, Scream the TV show came, from what I remember, it came after the films, after the Scream, like, because when was Scream 4? What year was that?
2008.
It was more like 10.
Right. Okay.
No, well, 11.
Well, would that be then? Would that be the premise of number 5 then? The series.
Well, that's the thing, is because the series is from 2016.
Yeah, but the film could be the take. Yeah, you're right, obviously within the Scream universe, because obviously if the other one's a different mask, different character, different place, the Scream universe, it was it was based on like real life, and then obviously they had the movie, they had the book. And everything was based on all these real events. Would it now be maybe the streaming service of the series? Is that where the film takes place, where they're actually trying to do the streaming version of the series and getting some of these characters back to learn from them, retell the story? Because it's one of those, in the movie world, it's almost like a forgotten story now because the original was so old. Because if you take it back to when the first Scream was, it was quite a long time ago. So it's like, actually now we're going to do like this documentary series or like this Making a Murderer kind of series based on the first one. And then that's how the film could play out as a background to them making a TV show.
Oh, that's so meta. That's like looking into a mirror, looking into a mirror, looking into a mirror.
Yeah. I need to write this down. I need to sell it. Don't put this podcast out yet. Yeah? I need to copyright this.
You know what? I've just got an image of Ryan Reynolds in my head where he's just like Deadpool trying to clean his drawers, and he's like, a 4-4 break and a 4-4 break.
Yeah.
Wow, meta. Are you really asleep or watching this? Am I watching you watching this?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Scream. I don't know.
There is no
Scream 5. I can't. It's not something I I don't generally look forward to Scream films, but if it's out, it's usually a laugh. I enjoyed the last one, Scream 4. I think that came out. Did that come out at the same time as James Silent Bob? Not James the Silent Bob. Not Mallrats. What was the other?
Scream 3.
Blacks.
Oh no, that was okay. That's what I was thinking about. Yeah, because they walked on set, didn't they? James Silent Bob. Yeah. Scream 3.
Yeah, it was roughly around the time of Jay and Bob, I think.
Yeah, 2001. I was thinking of something completely different. But I can't say I'm particularly enthused, especially because the director is now dead. I
mean, for me, if Kevin Williamson was back, who created it and wrote the first 3 films, I think he wrote the 4th one. I'm not 100% sure.
No, I think he did. I think he wrote all 4 of them.
Did he write all 4? Let me just check. Kevin Williamson.
On the highlight, it says based on characters by Kevin Williamson. I'm not sure if he wrote the 4th.
Well, on IMDb, it says, I know obviously that's not the most 100% accurate, but it says writer Kevin Williamson for Scream 4.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess.
You know what? I barely remember. I'm just looking at this now. I barely remember Scream 4.
Yeah, it's not memorable. I remember having a laugh at it, but I don't really remember anything about it.
Yeah, he did write Scream 4. Yeah, he did write Scream 4. So this one's the only one where he hasn't been. He's not the writer, because it's definitely they've got two new writers. Yeah. The way I see it is like, well, Scream's like his baby, so it's like if he's not really the guy, then I guess this is going to be like a fresh take, and we're just going to have to see whether it's good when it comes out. Really,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not too bothered, but I know if it's there, I'll watch it. If that makes sense.
I'm calling the Scream. I'm calling the series. I'm calling the series because like, Scream 4 was about the book tour and stuff, so I'm going TV series now, streaming service.
Right.
I think deep down for me, the only thing I'm like, okay, make the movie, is because I'm like, look, man, David Arquette needs some work. Like,
no, he's living off that Friends money. He's fine.
No, he's been trying to get back into professional wrestling, right? And I'm like, bro, you getting hurt.
David Arquette doesn't need to. Is he still married to?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, in that case, yeah, he does need work.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, no, now he's living off that Friends money because he got half. Yeah.
Oh, is that true, Ken? Did you get half?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I know what that's a reference to, but yeah, I thought he actually did get half. Okay, well, good luck to Scream 5. And David Arquette, yeah, good luck, mate. The Old Guard. What's The Old Guard, Satch?
The Old Guard. It's a trailer that dropped today, starring Charlize Theron. It's an action film. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it dropped today. Have you guys seen the trailer at all?
Yeah, I watched the trailer.
You watched the trailer? It's directed by Gina Prince Bythewood.
Oh, Tony Bythewood.
Yeah. She did a film called Love and Basketball, Beyond the Lights, and The Secret Life of Bees. She also directed episodes of Cloak and Dagger, Marvel's Cloak and Dagger. I'm not going to lie, I watched the trailer. And
there's nothing wrong with that, you know.
Yeah, I watched the trailer. My attention span didn't grasp me for very long.
Yeah.
How did you feel about it, Neil and Ken and Joe?
Didn't see.
Yeah, I thought it sets the premise up of the characters quite early on, so spoilers potentially.
Yeah.
Basically, it's sort of like this. The Old Guard is this like mercenary crew who just don't seem to die. I don't know the actual premise. It's actually based on graphic novel. So it's not an original concept. So there is a graphic novel called The Old Guard, and it's, I don't know too much about the story, but or why they are the way they are. For me, it's a Netflix movie. It looked a little bit ropey with some of the acting. I mean, for me, Charlize Theron is always kind of spot on. You can't fault her at all. But some of the dialogue was a little bit clunky. The timing seemed to be a little bit off on the humor where they tried to implement in the trailer and stuff like that. So it just didn't quite hit for me. There might be some really nice action pieces in it. But for me, I just don't think it's going to hold that well. It's one of those films that, I'll get around to watching, but it doesn't excite me in any way. I mean, if you're a fan of the graphic novel, then maybe you might be like, oh, I really want to see how they do a take on this, which might delight you or it might infuriate you. But yeah.
Saying that though, Netflix with graphic novels. Oh, you're watching it right? Netflix with graphic novels. They did a good adaptation of Polar. Is it Polar?
Yeah, Polar.
Yeah, Polar. That film was sick. I like that film, man. That was amazing with Mads Mikkelsen. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. I haven't yet. Netflix. Oh, it's really good. I watched it, and when you see a trailer that more or less tells you the whole damn film, I was just like, what? Well, the trailer didn't grab me in the first place. The action scenes don't look that kinetic, and that's. If there's nothing in that trailer that makes me go, wow, and you're telling me the whole plot of the movie, I'm like, well, what have you got?
Yeah.
You just haven't sold me at all. There's no wow shot in there. There's no, I just felt, cool, Netflix movie, whatever, innit? Like, low bar. How about you, Neil?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of nailed it. It does have a kind of, like, low bar feel to it. Like, I'm really not trying to disrespect the movie in any way, but it's just I watched the trailer, and all it was for me was I watched the trailer, and it was a thing of, the best way I can describe it is, when you go to see like a film you really want to see. So say, like, I'll use it as an example. You go to see a Marvel movie, and you see the trailer for maybe like the next Marvel movie coming, and then you see a trailer for like the next big budget DC movie coming, and then sandwiched in between those two trailers might be a trailer for this like little smaller budget kind of action film, right?
Right, yeah, I see. Just
it felt like that. It was like, okay, you're not what I'm really looking forward to, but I'll watch you. You're not going to be the worst thing that I see this year.
Yeah.
It's the kind of thing of, it's like, oh, you know what? When it is released, if there's nothing else for me to watch, I'll watch it. And if there is something else for me to watch, I'll watch it after.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bargain bin kind of film. There's clearly a lot of production that's gone into it, but this suffers from what I feel about that most Netflix films suffer from. It's okay. It's all right. For instance, when you see the trailer for Tenet, there's intrigue to, whoa, I need to see this. With this film, there's, okay.
Is that a reflection of the film or the way the trailer's put together?
The way the trailer's put together.
It's definitely the trailer that caused that, because you look at something like Six Underground. Six Underground is a Netflix film. Extraction, those are Netflix films. But when I sit there and watch Extraction, or when I sat there and watched Six Underground, just the trailers for them, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to see that film.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, no, I agree. I really enjoyed those trailers.
Oh, man.
For me, this was kind of...
Oh, okay. Fair news. I'm alone on that one.
Yeah, and plus, Extraction, oh, man. The action in that film, some of the camera work in that film is... Wow.
No spoilers, I haven't seen it yet.
No spoilers, but all I'm going to say is the action's up there with John Wick. in a very different way, and that's mainly because the director himself, he was a stuntman that worked on The Winter Soldier and Civil War and Infinity War,
right?
And it's actually produced by the Russo brothers and written by the Russo brothers.
That's right.
That's why Helmsworth's in the role, and it's a straight up action film, and some of the camera work is amazing. Now, not spoiling the movie at all, but behind the scenes, there's a car chase. But in that car chase, the director strapped himself on top of a bonnet of a car to get the shot that he wanted. And they showed that in the behind the scenes. And I was like, oh my days.
Got to step up your game.
As good as what the guy did in the Raid. Because I haven't been impressed with that. That impressed me a lot. The way he did everything on budget, and he did everything in terms of capturing the action quite makeshift.
I'll say action-wise, Extraction. There are parts of Extraction's action that match up to the Raid.
Yeah, okay. I agree. I agree.
Definitely, I would say, yep, that matches.
Raid is still better, but Extraction, like, put it this way, as a film, I'm going to give a little quick review. As a film, it's story-wise, character-wise, not AAA, but good enough for an action film.
So you care about the characters enough to follow them through the end of the film?
Yeah, but the actual action in this film, wow. I looked at it, I was like, wow, they really upped the bar. He really did. So it'll be interesting to see, because you can tell that guy had obviously had ideas to take action further in stuff like The Winter Soldier and the Avengers films and stuff. But obviously, because it's a PG-13, because because it's Avengers and stuff, maybe they can't be as violent as he would like them to be. Yeah. And maybe because only he can see the action from a stuntman's point of view. He can't articulate that vision for it to, go down, because this is the director's words, not mine. That's what he said. He said he felt frustrated sometimes with certain action scenes. So what he started to do, he started to write down these things for when he does his movie, and then he did this movie, and man, he knocked it out the park, mate. This guy, I forget his name, but he's getting hired.
Yeah,
he's getting hired by it. Yeah,
he's essentially. Anyway, yeah, the director blatantly essentially put himself in a very similar boat to I can't remember their names, but the guys who did John Wick.
Yeah, totally.
That's Stahelski and David. I can't remember the other guy's name. It's David.
Chad and David, right? But
the two David Leach.
Yeah, what they did with John Wick, it led one of them on to Deadpool 2, and it's the kind of thing of I guess you could say not redefined, but they kind of repolished what an action film should look like.
Yes. Yeah, I mean it's what The Matrix did. I'll even go as far as do you know the saber fight in episode 1? I'd never seen anything like that before, ever. And I akin that to Ray Park and just George Lucas's vision on how he wanted to capture Jedis in their prime. And that was I haven't seen a saber fight as good as that ever again, and I haven't seen any the action in John Wick and in the Matrix films haven't been really rivaled by anything other than The Raid or a few other films until now. We've seen a renaissance in that type of action again, which is a good thing. It just makes just showing the action on screen without cutting too much. It just immerses you a lot more. You feel it. It's just like him. Did you see the reaction things in the reaction to John Wick 3? There's a fight scene that they had like a viewer's reaction, and that's the thing I'm talking about. It's you're involved in the action. You see the guy throw the knife, throwing the knives at his balls, and he throws it back at the guy's head, and then. And it just stays with it.
Yeah, and it's seeing the actor do it themselves.
Yes, yeah.
That's what really draws you into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I found so fascinating about the Matrix. Is that it's the actual actors that are doing this stuff, and that they trained for this long, and they did. Yeah, it sells it so much more. And that if again looking at this trailer, what it reminds me of is Assault.
Oh yeah.
This is what this reminds me of in terms of the pacing of the. I'm not saying that the film is bad or good. It's just the pacing of the trailer.
Yeah, it's a good shot.
You have your it's a cookie cut trailer. It does its job. It does what it says on the tin. I'm guessing I again haven't seen the film, but it looks formulaic.
Yeah, but I think like my final thing to say on it, I think as well, the thing that we have to remember is because it's a Netflix film, there probably isn't going to be a second trailer or a third trailer. Right. Like, so what they did is they basically did what like a major film studio does with like the third trailer, where they're like, now we can tell you everything.
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to give you that one trailer that's got all of that in it.
Okay, I guess sticking with Charlize Theron, I guess it's not going to be Charlize Theron, Mad Max Furiosa. What do you know about this, Satch?
Okay, so George Miller's been trying to get this done for a while. Warner Brothers really wanted it, but the reason why there's been delays is because the WB owed George Miller a lot of money.
Yes,
over Fury Road. What people don't realize about Fury Road is that, the guy had been making Fury Road since the 2000s. Literally, he even filmed stuff back in 2001, kind of thing. That's how long that thing had been in the making. But while making it, he's went off and done other projects because obviously different regimes of Warner Brothers stopped the movie or whatnot, even though he filmed stuff. And, then he started making Happy Feet films, etc. So he appeased the studio with whatever studio projects for a very long time and then came out with Fury Road. But they owed him money, like a lot of money on the back end. And that's been disputed now. So now he's like, cool, let's go make Furiosa. Looks like they're recasting the Furiosa role, and they're actually doing auditions with Skype. Rumor has it that Peaky Blinders' Anya Taylor-Joy is up for the role. Okay. Yeah, she did a movie called Morgan. She did The Witch. She did Split.
She's far younger than Charlize Theron.
Well, that's the thing.
That's the thing. It's a prequel.
Yeah.
Right, that's why they're recasting. Okay,
yeah, that's why they're recasting her.
And also they had Jodie Comer up for playing it as well. She's the one from Killing Eve.
Yeah, I know. She's good looking.
So
I like her.
So look, Mad Max Fury Road is probably in my top 3 of the 10 best films of the decade, hands down. I saw that film. Do you know how many times I saw that film in cinema? 16 times. I saw it 16 times.
Wow.
Okay.
Did you go with like other people?
Yeah, I took everyone to see that movie. I was like, hey, man,
he wouldn't have seen it 16 times if he was paying for it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. I'll just be starting my shift. What shall I do? I'll go in 2 hours earlier. I can catch some Mad Max. Yeah, let's go. I love that film, man.
No, I like it as well.
I'm gonna watch it again tomorrow because I only watched it. I think I've watched it twice. Once in cinema and once like when I bought the box set and owned it. And it's not amazing to me. It's a good film.
Fair enough.
But again, I think as well, I think it's a thing for me of I didn't watch all of the Mad Max films from start to finish until maybe when they announced that they were making Fury Road.
Right, okay.
Like when it was like, okay, it's greenlit, it's going to happen. Tom Hardy is Max. Then I was like, you know what? Let me watch all 3 of them sit down, spend a day, watch them back to back, and then embrace the film and see how I feel about it. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, okay, the first one and the second one I absolutely love.
Mm-hmm. The third one, went to Thunderdome.
You know what? I think
that's not a bad film.
You know what it is? My appreciation. So the first two films, I love everything about them. They are just well made.
Yeah, especially the second one. Oh my God. Yeah.
But the third one it's not a bad film, but there's parts of the film that make me like, I like it. But I like it for like silly reasons. So I like Master Blaster.
Yeah.
Right? And I like when he beats Master Blaster and then like they're dipping Master in the pigs. Right? Like I don't know why. There's nothing great about it, but I enjoyed that. I thought it was funny. So that is what sticks with me about Thunderdome. So I didn't have this like iconic love for it. So when I watched Fury Road, I was just like, yeah, you good. Yeah.
See, for me, the only thing that would have made that thing better, the only thing, okay, and it's a 10 for me. It's a 10 out of 10 film for me. Only way that could have been better is if it was Mel Gibson. Yeah. Not that Tom Hardy did a bad job. He did a damn good job. But if it was Mel,
you embraced with Mel.
I mean, that's his role. That was his original role.
The thing is, George Miller really, really wanted to do it with Mel Gibson as well. That was the thing. He really wanted to do it with Mel Gibson as well. But unfortunately, Mel was in movie jail. And this thing was going to cost all the money. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the side of the unpopular opinion. I didn't really care for Fury Road that much. I was just like, so they drove there, then back again, and I was just like,
that's the thing.
They're fighting about some water and shit. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. It was like, look, don't get me wrong, it's a fantastically well-made film.
It's a visual feast.
It is a visual feast. It is stunning to watch. And when you look at how little special effects they put into that film and how much of it's practical and all the stunt driving and all that stuff, it's fantastic feat of movie making. But as a story to film, very forgettable. I mean, when I think of Fury Road, I forget that Tom Hardy's in it. I think of Charlize Theron. I forget he's in it. I think he has like 10 lines, does he, or something in that movie?
Yeah, he points at something and says, so you want to do that?
Yeah, so
I know grunting.
So for me, I'm not fussed about this prequel. I mean, look, to be honest, I'm not the biggest fans of Mad Max because they're films that I remember seeing when I was younger, but I've never had the inkling to revisit. So, if I went back and watched 1 or 2 now, which I probably should at some point, I might find, actually I really enjoy those. But maybe that would then have more of an impact for me for Fury Road. But would not having revisited those films for years and then watching that one, it didn't do anything for me. So the prequel, especially recasting, if they'd done a prequel with Charlize Theron, you get some kind of continuity there. But then to do it again with a recast a character you've just introduced, it seems weird to me.
For me,
that is a little bit.
If I'm super honest, right, and it's like I know, like you're gonna get hated for this, but my favorite run of Mad Max is actually the game. PlayStation game, like I played that and I was like, I'm invested in this storyline.
It's not a bad game.
Like the game has a better storyline than Fury Road.
No, I get that. I mean, being a game, it would have to kind of be more involving in its story.
I think as well. It's a thing of with Fury Road, like if you're not a Mad Max fan and you're not a motion picture fan, not a film fan, a motion picture fan, if you're not one of those two things, Fury Road is just like, it's whatever. It's just like, it's cool. It's like, I've seen better, I've seen worse, because it's a thing of, like you guys say, like everybody who absolutely loves Fury Road, they're either a Mad Max fan or they are a motion picture fan. So they're just like in awe of everything that George Miller put together. And it's true. I mean, like you watch the film, and you're just watching it, and you're seeing the camera, the way the camera moves, and you're seeing all the moving parts that are going on. It's like, wow, this is amazing. And I was like, but tell me like 5 lines of dialogue that stuck with you.
Well, what I liked about it was the fact that you could follow a story set in a world which had a lot of world building, and you didn't even have to watch Mad Max to get what was going on. Yeah, sure, it's a big car chase that goes left and right and back again, but realistically, it's a story about women that flee a tyrant that wants them back to breed his kind.
Yeah. You know what? If
so Sasha, okay, so you saw that film. Yeah, so Sasha, you saw that film 16 times.
I did, man.
Quote me 2 lines of dialogue from that film.
I can't quote you 2 lines of dialogue because there's no fucking dialogue in that film, mate.
I'll quote.
It wasn't that kind of film though. It's like if like Star Wars was like the first 20 minutes of that movie. Like, and believe me, George Lucas wanted to do a Star Wars spin-off. This is fact. He wanted to do a Star Wars spin-off with no dialogue and just droids.
Fair enough.
And he did actually. He actually did. Yeah, and you know what? To his fairness, he actually did that in Clone Wars. He did like 3 episodes, and if you add them together, they would have been a movie. And it was just R2-D2 going on some quest, and it was just like all visual and stuff. And you know, that's the thing with Fury Road. It wasn't about dialogue. It was more about what you could do visually and how you could tell a story visually with big set pieces and car chases and stuff. And that's what I loved about it. That might not translate for everyone, and I totally get that, because some people are just like, they just go left and right. And you know what? I can't argue with that, because
when I sat down and thought Lord of the Rings, they just went and dropped a ring in a volcano, you know? So it's like...
Yeah, totally. So, you know, it works both ways. But I mean, you know, but I can't argue with that, because you know what? Guess what? They did. But you know, potato.
Okay, so when does this film? I guess after lockdown.
They reckon around 2001. I reckon around 2002. But it's
you mean 2022? You mean 2021?
Yeah, 20. Yeah, sorry, 2022. Yeah.
Okay,
I know it's a prequel, but
yeah.
It's a prequel to life. Okay, well, I'm gonna move it forward. Justice League. So we've all heard the news.
Have we taken an hour and 5 minutes to get here?
It's all about the build-up, Ken. It's all about the build-up, Ken. So we've all heard the news. The Snyder cut is an actual thing, and
I gotta cut you, Joe, because right now, you know what I felt like when they announced it. You know what it felt like? It felt like that bit in Black Panther when they're about to make T'Challa the king, and then, you know, M'Baku comes out and he does his little speech and he says, "We have watched from the mountains." And that's what I feel. I feel like Zack Snyder had enough, and he just, you know, they were just like, "Oh, we're gonna make Robert Pattinson Batman," and he was just like kicked in the doors of the office and was like, "I have watched from the mountains." You know, and he was just like, as you ruined, you want to make the guy from Twilight Batman, right? I was like, remember, they had to paint his 6-pack on him. They had to Photoshop the 6-pack on him, and that's who you want as Batman. You could have had Charlie Cox. You could have had Guy Pearce. You could have had, but you chose him. I was like, look, here's the Snyder cut, right? And it was like, I'm done with you guys. You're gonna watch this film, and you're gonna put this film out, or like, you know, like some of you ain't gonna make it out of lockdown.
Yeah, I mean, someone definitely has been rattling the Warner Brothers. Did you see their Twitter account?
Yeah. I think that was fake.
It's a parody.
It's hilarious.
The parody.
I don't care. It's hilarious.
Even if it was fake, I guarantee you there's at least 30, 40 people working at Warner Brothers who just felt that.
Yeah.
Well, that tweet touched me on a different level.
This has been coming for a little while because actually Snyder, like the Snyders, like him and his partner, they actually did a presentation back in February. So they got all these executives from like Warner Bros, HBO Max, DC to their house, and then they showed them like a version of the Snyder cut. It was like all black and white, obviously things unfinished and stuff. And then like Snyder outlined his ideas for like releasing the idea of maybe episodes and having cliffhangers and like splitting it rather than just being a 4-hour movie or whatever. And so, they've obviously, they went and saw all that. And what they actually did is they also brought in people to cost up what it would be to finish it. So on that screening, they brought all these people in who cost up how much it would take in terms of hours and manpower to get the effects done, some reshoots. They had to do some potential dialogue, even maybe get some of the actors back to do some parts, which they've all kind of said, yes, we're up for. Not sure about Affleck, but Cavill...
He's back.
Yeah, so they said, we're willing to do some pickup shots. And so that's what happened. And then I think basically what's happened is with the coronavirus thing happening, all the movie productions are pretty much shut down. You've got all these skilled artists who are able to work from home or work in remote areas and start doing this stuff. And they're like, you know what? For 20, 30 million, we can get this movie out or a series out next year for only 20, 30 million. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's going to be a new thing. So the fact that everything else is being pushed back, it allows them now to sort of move forward with this. They can start doing stuff before they, start getting to the reshoots and bits and pieces like that. And so that's kind of what's happened like since February, and that's why this is kind of sped up. If it wasn't for COVID, I don't think we'd be having it next year. Even Snyder himself thought that this is going to be one of those stories where it's going to be like a documentary in several years' time. Like the Death of Superman Lives kind of thing. Yeah. One of these documentaries where it's like, this is what it could have been, and here's some of the behind the scenes stuff, and here's all these bits and pieces that you never saw, because he's like, you've seen like just a quarter of what I shot. So there's so much to this. And it really is, I think, going to be quite different, because I actually went back and watched the original Comic-Con trailer today, and it's like there's so much in that trailer that's not seen. There's just so much footage in that original trailer you just not see in the final film. The cyborg backstory, him in college, the football game, interactions with him and Wonder Woman trying to recruit Aquaman, the Flash scene where I think he's like he goes through the glass and apparently he saves the iris. There's like all this stuff that's there, and it's just crazy. And the fact that even that was not like the original idea, because originally Darkseid was going to be in it, and actually Ray Porter was cast as Darkseid, and then they cut that and then put Steppenwolf in because they wrote him out of the Suicide Squad movie, because Steppenwolf was going to be in Suicide Squad. But they did last minute change the script, cut him out of it, and then they used him in this one to build up Darkseid for the next one.
See, I heard that. I heard Steppenwolf was supposed to be in Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And that was what was supposed to open the mother boxes.
Yeah.
And that led into Justice League.
Yeah.
And that would have made more sense. It would have felt like they had a freaking plan.
Absolutely, because his goal was to make like 3 films. So his goal was to make 3 films. So it would have introduced Darkseid, and a long time, he's the arch nemesis of Superman. That he doesn't, and then you have the Justice League. They would. So Darkseid would control Superman, turning him into this evil person that we saw in like the Vision, that nightmare scenario. And then you would have had that nightmare plot like play into the 3 movies and stuff like that. So you would have seen kind of that play out. And then obviously Justice League coming back, and winning it and stuff like that. So there is so much potential for this. It's going to be really interesting. Social media these days are having so much influence on what movie studios are doing, how people accept and perceive what is actually released. You had hundreds of thousands of signatures following Game of Thrones that wanted to redo the last season. You had a studio delay a movie to redo the character of Sonic because of the kickback. This stuff happens now, and this wouldn't happen like 20 years ago. But the influence of social media and that everybody has a voice now, this stuff can happen.
I think as well, there's a couple, there's so, like you said, there's so much stuff that has gone on since, I would go far back as to say so much stuff that's gone on since Man of Steel was finished, right? Because there were so many things that were changed and left out and taken out and swapped, and it was like, oh, the fans aren't happy about what you did with BVS, so now you're not going to do this, and you have to cut that, and you got to change this. And it was like, I think obviously Snyder himself doing things of like having whenever he had like watch-alongs, or when he was being interviewed for things, and he was like, you know what, I'm free to say what I like now, and he himself was putting up artwork from the films, and like describing scenes and describing what he'd put in place, those things. And because the thing is, there was I can't remember where it was. I think it might have been a screening for Man of Steel, like where it was an actual screening. People went to the screening of Man of Steel where he sat there and he did this long interview after it. And he broke down so many things that he had in place. Yeah. And a lot of what he had in place, if you think about the timeline from when these films were supposed to come out, a lot of what he had in place predates Infinity War and Endgame. Mm-hmm. Now, you look at the extent of everything that happened with Infinity War and Endgame, the idea of Thanos, the idea of the Avengers losing, all of that. And he's like, yeah, that was Justice League 2, mate.
Yeah, they were going to lose. Yeah.
That the beginning of Justice League 2 was going to be the Justice League know about Darkseid. They decide they're going to go to Apocalypse and deal with him, like preemptive strike, and they get battered. They get destroyed. And then the rest of the movie plays out through that, and then that's what ties into, winding up going into the past to try and warn.
Was that what happens in the
BVS?
BVS. When
that's why the Flash run back. Yeah,
that's why right. Because it's like that nightmare vision was actually going to take place, and you were actually going to see what the world looked like, because Darkseid beats the Justice League. And then they run back to Earth with their tail between their legs, and he follows them back to Earth, and he just rains fire. He's like, if this is the best you got and you came for me, I'm definitely taking over now. Mm-hmm. So he was going to do that. And, Snyder just, giving tidbits of information over and over again.
Yeah, Black Suit Superman. We saw the images, like Instagram during production.
Yeah, it's in the background, right? In one of the shots.
And then to add to that, Warner Brothers Animation, who've been releasing like all these animated Justice League films, and most of them are really good. The latest one to come out, it came out this year, was Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. Mm-hmm. And virtually, I would say about 60% of what Snyder said would be in his Justice League 2 and 3 is in this film. It's an animated film.
I haven't seen it yet.
The beginning of the animated film, the Justice League decide we're going to go deal with Darkseid. And every film, virtually everything that takes place after that is just, you could pick it up and lay it on top of what Snyder said. And
so is that a follow-up from Justice League War? Because that was awesome.
No, it's essentially it's kind of its own thing.
Right, gotcha.
Like if you never saw any other Justice League animated film, mm-hmm. and then you just saw Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, mm-hmm. you'd be totally in sync with everything that's going on. Mm. And it was it was just a thing of beauty. To watch it, it's a thing of beauty. It's brutal. It's quite violent. You know, you see people. To be blunt, you see people die. Right, and
would you kin it to something like not Endgame? What was the one before Endgame?
Infinity War.
Yeah, is it like that?
It's okay. So you know how a lot of people were unhappy with the serious tone of DC or the darker tone of DC?
Yeah.
So imagine a darker version of Infinity War, and that's where you get with.
That's hardcore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm still upset about Unite the Seven. They have all those posters about Unite the Seven. I never got my number 7, man.
Yeah. I remember that.
It was supposed to be Martian Manhunter because actually the general from Man of Steel, who was played by Harry Lennox, he's actually Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
Okay. So he was in Man of Steel.
You remember the general in Man of Steel? Who?
Yeah.
That's him. He was actually Martian Manhunter.
Okay.
Yeah, he turns up in BVS, and what was going to happen was in Justice League, I think it was like towards the end of the film, he was going to turn up like in a conversation with Lois and then reveal that he is Martian Manhunter, as you were. And then also there was a thing where they were mentioning that it was possibly going to be the Green Lantern because the scene where if you watch like I think it's the original trailer, if you watch it, when Alfred turns around and he's like, "Oh, you're here. Hopefully you're not too late." There's like a green kind of glowish tinge going on around him.
And in his glasses, yeah. See, a lot of people think that was supposed to be Superman coming in at the end. And again, that's a thing that's not played in the original movie. But the other thought is, it was Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, there's so many facets to this this movie or whatever. Yeah.
Thing sorry, go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, if this is popular, this may change things. Mm-hmm. I mean, if this does well on HBO Max, they may change their roadmap in terms of people gravitate to this. Let's get Affleck. But I'll put my thoughts were that they'll keep the Robert Pattinson one in its own universe. And then bring back Affleck if he wants to come back. Bring everyone back together and make another film.
Well, here's the funny thing about it. Affleck's Batman was supposed to die in one of those Justice League films.
Really?
Yeah. He was supposed to be killed in one of those Justice League films. And it's the kind of thing of, because that's why it was one of the reasons why Snyder wanted an aged Batman.
And a big name.
Right. He wanted a big name to be an aged Batman so that he could basically kill him
Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that would work.
Yeah, and the thing is, by doing it like that, you put yourself in a position where it's like, okay, there have been so many people who've been robbing, and one of them could take over because it could be Damian Wayne, the son of Bruce Wayne. That's an ideal candidate. And DC released a comic in which that happens. Yeah. Batman dies, and Damian becomes Batman. Dick Grayson's been Batman, right? Although they say that the Joker, the Robin suit that's been destroyed in BVS is supposed to be Dick Grayson's one. It's not supposed to be Jason Todd. Mm-hmm. But it's like, there are so many other avenues that they could have rolled through where it could be, this. But one thing that's really...
Could have been Patterson taking over.
Yeah. Well, one thing I was going to say was that one thing that's caught me is that maybe it's because I'm not a fan of the idea of Patterson as Batman. I feel like maybe somebody at Warner Brothers, I think like obviously the whole thing of releasing the Snyder Cut, it was getting closer and closer and closer to becoming a reality. I think one of the tipping points might have actually been recently Patterson was interviewed and somebody asked him, with this whole pandemic and that, are you, still keeping up your diet and your exercise regime for Batman? And he's like, no, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna work my ass off to get to this,
extreme shape, physical shape. Yeah.
I'm not gonna get to this peak physical condition because I don't want to set a precedent. I was like, bruv, you're playing Batman. Right,
I saw Campion's rant on that.
I'm like, you're playing Batman. You're not playing Iron Man, where it don't matter if you're a little sluggish. You're in a suit of armor.
Even J.K. Simmons got ripped for playing Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, when you say that you're not trying to set a precedent. I'm like, you're playing the superhero with no powers, who is arguably the best superhero. Period. You're playing the guy who literally trained his mind and body, his mind and body to the maximum degree. He is the world's greatest detective. He is a ninja. He is a scientist. He is an engineer. He's everything you need to be, and he is the physicality to do it. I'm like, when I hear him and he's like, I'm not gonna get my body to that. I'm like, bruv. What are you Adam West?
Nah, dude, don't say Patterson is a method man. He jerked off on camera. He's method man.
Yeah, that don't help. And the only thing that saved me from absolutely losing my shit when I saw him say that was that in a conversation I had with a few people, and they were like, well, just think of Charlie Cox in Daredevil. He's not ripped. He's not physical condition maximum, but he does
he's not Batman
perfectly, right? But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but you ain't Batman. And when you think about it, the last two guys to live action play Batman prior to Patterson was the beast of a man, Ben Affleck, and the beast of a method acting man, Christian Bale.
I just call him American Psycho, Christian Bale.
Both of whom got themselves into this monstrous condition. In fact, when you think Christian Bale got himself into monstrous condition twice, because the first time he got as big as he could be, and he was just a muscle-bound animal, and then he trimmed down so he could fit into the suit, and he got himself more like, this lean cat-like ninja. And I'm like, Robert Pattinson, you're here for one movie, bruv. So
free.
When
isn't it free?
It better not be free, man. Right? Get that guy to one and done. Make him, he does the film ends, looks off into the distance, and they were like, and cut.
The thing about this movie is, this was obviously originally, it was supposed to be the Ben Affleck written, directed, starring.
That's right.
It's become its own thing. But if you look at the rest of the casting they've done, it's really good. So
Colin Farrell,
for me, it's a case of, I'm going to hold out for this because I've got some faith that they can do something special because of the cast that they've arranged. I'm not a fan of Colin Farrell. I'm not a fan of Colin Farrell being Penguin. But the rest of the casting, it seems pretty spot on. So, look, I know Sacha said the same thing. I haven't seen Patterson in pretty much anything since Twilight, and I know he's got a lot of solid performances under his belt. He's had a lot of critical acclaim for what he's done, and I need to probably see and visit some of those indie films and stuff like that. But yeah, until I see that stuff, obviously I'm not going to picture him as this guy who's going to intimidate anybody. But we'll have to wait and see. I think he might be able to play a great Bruce Wayne, but will he be a good Batman? We'll have to wait and see.
Well, here's the thing for me in regards to that now, right? As an actor, he's brilliant. He is someone who, by the time he wraps his career up, should bag Oscars. Right? Yeah. He is that caliber an actor. He is on point. Which is brilliant. But even when you said about, the cast, I'm like, you can have a cast of film. You can cast a film with brilliant actors, but if they're not playing the right roles, it ain't going to run. Colin Farrell is not the guy who should be playing the Penguin.
No, he's not.
Right? And then I was like, the only person who was cast and was put in a position, and I was like, now that is casting I can get on board with was, I think it was, was it Paul Dini, who's playing the Riddler?
Yeah, that's great casting, that.
Him? I'm like, yeah, sold. I was like, if that was your opening, if you opened with that, you're going to make a Batman film and he's going to be the Riddler, I was like, I'm in. I'm so in. But, they started, Robert Pattinson. And I was like, because I've said it before and I say it again. If I was a criminal in Gotham City and Pattinson jumped down from the rafters to land in that alley in front of me, cape and cowl, I am not going to stop my crime. I am not going to stop my crime. I am going to be still right. I'm going to look at him and I'm going to be like, I'll be with you in a good minute. You stay right there.
Well, it seems like a lot of people have this ever since Pattinson said that, or ever since people read that interview with Pattinson, there's been a negative outcry on his ability to play the character.
You're playing a superhero, right?
Yeah.
When you say the precedent, he doesn't want to set a precedent. I'm like, look, if you're playing a real person who really exists, who, you're playing, a biography of this person who's real.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, I don't want to set up, or you're playing just a fictional character that doesn't have a 83, almost 85 year history. This character is, almost 25 years shy of 100 years old. You don't get to decide whether you're going to work out for the role because you don't want to set a precedent. If you don't want to set a precedent, you shouldn't have took the role. Because we're not, you, especially in this day and age, you play a superhero, you have to have a certain look. Robert Downey Jr. was in a suit of armor for, Iron Man, from Iron Man 1 to Avengers Endgame. He's playing a rich man who's in a suit of armor, a literal suit of armor. Yeah, he's conditioned, right?
Yeah, he's in peak shape.
He could fight people without the suit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he's a martial artist. He's a martial artist.
Yeah,
well,
he does Wing Chun.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're in that position, you're in that role, you're in that world. You're in a world where, you look at it, the last two people to play the role you're playing both had scenes where they were training with no shirt on. And one of them had chains wrapped around him with tires hanging off of him, big weights hanging down off of him, and he's doing pull-ups. And you're like, I'm not going to set a precedent, man. Like, no.
You're happy he's playing the character then? You're happy about it?
No.
It sounds like you are.
It hurts me because even if you're a good actor, you need to dedicate yourself to that role, mind, body, and soul. And I don't feel like he's, just by making that statement, as silly as it might sound, and as in my feelings as I might be, I look at it as like, by you saying that, by you just openly letting those words fly out your mouth, you're already distancing your fan base. You're distancing the people who automatically want to go and see this film.
Right.
Essentially, you're losing Warner Brothers money.
I'll wait to see, man. Can't wait to see.
I think the name itself will get people in. The first trailer will do the job. If it doesn't do the job, then I think that will be an indicator of what people's interest levels are. Even then, that's still not an indicator as to how well
I think as well with it, it's a thing of that probably helped with Warner Brothers and HBO making the decision to be like, yeah, Snyder, here's your cut ready, because I'm like, let's blow just in case the Batman doesn't win the hearts of the
fallback
let's at least have it, because I'm like, both films are supposed to come out in 2021, and even if it's just a streaming service, I'm like, do you really want to line up the last guy you had in this role next to the guy who you got now in the role?
Well, I totally get where you're coming with that. I think it is going to be interesting to see how they both play out. Look, Snyder's got a lot to live up to. There's a lot of hype over this, and he's going to have to deliver something different. He's going to have to deliver what he's been promising. Because the box office return of Justice League was so poor. It was like 658 million worldwide, for that group of superheroes together. But worst case, if it's all pants and it all drops off, then, just release a Flash movie and just, Flashpoint it and reset everything. It's fine. Yeah, that's seriously what I thought they were going to do. That Flashpoint movie would reset everything and then they could have a clean slate and just start again.
Yeah, but then Ezra Miller choked that lady on camera.
Yeah, oh my God. Yeah.
Now they're like, I don't know if we got someone who can run that fast back in time.
Wow, it's all drama here. Sach, are you okay there?
Yeah, my internet cut out for a few minutes, so I was trying to get on my phone, and I got in on my phone, but then I saw my internet was back, so I jumped back onto my laptop.
Yeah, I saw you having a bit of a mirror in the top right-hand corner of the screen. It's like, what is going on?
Don't worry, this night it was just me ranting about how
I was kind of counting on that, dude, before I could jump back.
You were like Mad Max, you were like Mad Max, Sasha. You were just like, all action but no sound.
Ken, how are we doing for time? Do you need to do anything?
No. Zoom kindly gave us a gift and just said you're not going to be timed on this, so we're good.
Oh, fantastic!
We love Zoom. Thanks, Zoom.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Okay, then I'm going to move this on because we could talk about this league all night. What is The Outpost, Sach?
The Outpost. It's a new film with Scott Eastwood and Orlando Bloom. They star as U.S. soldiers during the Afghan conflict, and it's about an outpost that they are defending against. Yeah.
The Taliban.
Okay.
There we go. The Taliban. Yeah.
Is this a new? Is it been filmed? Is there?
It's been filmed. The trailer just dropped today. It's been filmed. It looks interesting. And yeah, I think it's all marketed around Scott Eastwood. To be fair, Orlando Bloom looks like he's supporting. I was actually kind of shocked to see Orlando Bloom in the current modern day, not swashbuckling.
Yeah, in fantasy land. Yeah,
you know what? After that him trying to punch out Justin Bieber and completely missing, I'm sure that they were like, "Yeah, you need to go to training." He
tried to. What did he try to do to Justin Bieber?
He tried to sucker punch him and he missed.
Oh dear!
And it was filmed on camera, so you see it happen. Like he's walking up to him, and they're both walking, and he throws the punch and just misses.
See, if he had actually landed the hit, he would have been all over the internet.
If he landed that punch, I'm telling you, he might be John Wick. His career would have gone up. He would have been like, "Oh, John Wick, we got the perfect villain for you." Who? Orlando Bloom. Who? The guy who knocked out Justin Bieber. Bring him in.
Oh well, yeah. Wow. I haven't heard anything from Orlando Bloom since that last Pirates film. What has he done since?
I know he dated Katy Perry for a while or whatever that was. I don't know if they're still doing.
Jesus.
But yeah,
he had his own TV show, Carnival Row.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. I never watched that. Yeah. It didn't look appealing to me.
It wasn't. It's not bad. It's not a bad show.
Okay.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed the trailer actually. I think the way the trailer was actually cut, it was very much cut as a potential Oscar contender. It's had that kind of vibe to it, that Saving Private Ryan, that Hacksaw Ridge kind of thing, so the trailer was cut very well together. For me, this is it's almost a make or break for Eastwood. You know, it's
really.
He's top billing, you know, he's top billing in this, and really hasn't had a hit. He's had bit parts in other movies, and you know, there was Pacific Rim and, you know, Fast and Furious.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you know, and he's never really kind of broken out, which I think the studios thought he would. And this is a role that he can really kind of get his acting chops into. He can do some yelling, he can do some dramatic acting. He's got the action in there. And I think, yeah, this is something, if he can deliver in this, it might move him on to that next stage. So I think he's definitely got potential. But
he's got one problem in this, though.
Yeah, go on.
One of his co-stars, Caleb Landry Jones, is in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that guy can act.
Yeah. But maybe this is what he needs to up his game. When you're acting against somebody like that, they can bring out the best in you. And I'm hoping this delivers for him because, you know, he comes from a good lineage, you know, and I think a lot of people thought that, you know, he probably developed more than what he did now based on his dad, you know, and the history that he has there. And, you know, people talked about him being the new Wolverine and all sorts. But I think until he can prove that he can handle a film himself and lead a film, he's only going to be the bit part player.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm watching the trailer now. It's got that vibe that actually looks like Homeland.
Yeah,
it's got that because it's being released in July. You know, Independence Day weekend probably. You know, it's got a patriotic America thing to it, and you know, it's you know, for the fact that there is a real lack of movies at the moment, it's a great opportunity.
Yeah. That will give him a big push.
Yeah. You see, one thing I'll say about it as well is, and I don't mean this as a disrespect to this movie, but it feels very similar. I would say it feels almost like a poor man's version of it feels like a poor man's version of, say, like what was that film that Orlando Bloom is in? Black Hawk Down.
Oh, right. The Ridley Scott film, yeah. Black Hawk Down.
It's like you've got a good, strong male cast. They're in it. They're together, and it's like it's them versus everyone kind of deal.
Right. Yeah, it does have that feel, actually, looking at it now.
It's got that kind of feel to it, and I'm like, it's got a strong enough cast, you know. It's like, okay, Scott Eastwood is he's the star of the movie, so I'm like, well, you better live to the end, you know. Caleb and Orlando are there. Like, I think Orlando's there to give the film a named actor that you know has been in bankable films. He's not the bankable star, but he's been in bankable films. So he's a
recognizable name.
Yeah, he's the recognizable name, and then you've got the Caleb Landry Jones, who's there to be he's the serious actor. So we've got the star, we've got the big name star, we've got the big name co-star, and we've got the super serious, like, you know, James Dean worthy type actor, all lined up together to be in this film.
Yeah. It's again, I just finished watching the trailer, and it does have it's a Saving Private Ryan mixed with Black Hawk Down, mixed with any modern day war film you could mention. Maybe not Jarhead, but something akin to that. And
it's got the true story thing going for it.
Yes, yeah.
It also has Mel Gibson's son in it.
It does?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm running my way through the cast. So top billed cast is Orlando Bloom, Scott Eastwood, Caleb Landry Jones, and Jacob Sipico. And right after that, when it just says all cast, you got some guy, Jack Casey, and then you got Milo Gibson.
Okay.
Okay. So I've never seen Mel Gibson's son before. That's going to be a interesting prospect to see all of these, because they're all, you've got Scott Eastwood who has something to prove. You've got, I guess, you've got Mel Gibson's son who's got something to prove. You've got Orlando Bloom that I guess needs a comeback.
Ties to our earlier conversation.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I guess and it's released on July the 3rd. Yeah, so that coincides very nicely with if cinemas open up again. When I watched the trailer, at the end of the trailer, it was just talking about being in theaters, like streaming. My trailer says in theaters.
Oh, okay.
I guess maybe it's a dual thing. Maybe they'll release it in theaters and on streaming at the same time.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on the country.
Yeah, it might do as well. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, a good situation war movie, if you guys haven't seen it, or anybody else out there listening, 13 Hours.
That's so good.
And you know what? That is a solid movie.
That's a Michael Bay movie, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I haven't seen that yet. I'm definitely going to watch it now. Now that I know.
John Krasinski in it, and great movie.
For a second, when you said 13 Hours, I got it confused with 12 Strong, the one with Hemsworth.
What was that like? I've not seen it.
I haven't watched it.
Now, 13 Hours was really good. Really good. Okay. No one saw it though. When it came out in theater, not that many.
I mean, that was one of his smaller films. So
yeah, that's right.
I mean, even the trailer doesn't make it look small, but if that's one of his smaller films, I mean, it's Michael Bay. So a small film to him is like.
Mind you, Pain and Gain was one of his smaller films, and that film was joke.
A good film. Moving it forward. Halle Berry to star in new Roland Emmerich film, Moonfall. Not heard of this. Why would Halle Berry want to do that to herself?
Halle Berry's been branching out recently. Like one of her films that's coming out is she's playing a mixed martial artist or a coach of a mixed martial artist. So
I guess that's her John Wick's training going to use.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she caught the bug with the John Wick stuff.
Yeah. I mean, Roland Emmerich hasn't been on a roll this far. I mean, Independence Day 2 or whatever it's called, Insurgents, wasn't a good film. His film after that, what was it called? Midway. Woof.
He's just looking for another way to destroy the Earth, man. It's like. The synopsis is it centers on mysterious force knocking the moon from its orbit around Earth, which sends it hurtling on a collision course with life as we know it. In response, a ragtag team launches an impossible last-ditch mission into space to land on the lunar surface and save Earth from annihilation. He didn't, he got beat to the meteor thing. Yeah, he didn't do Deep Impact. He missed out on Armageddon. So now he's like, you know what? I need to do this thing. I destroyed it with.
It was like, what's bigger than a meteor?
I destroyed it with the prophecy of 2012. I need to find another way to destroy the Earth, and this is it. So,
the thing is, right? I'm gonna mention this, right? It's not the premise of the film that I have so much issue with. It's who the fuck wrote that, right? That a mysterious force knocks the moon off its axis and sends it hurtling towards, sets it on a collision course with life as we know it. Mm-hmm. They were like, you said it got knocked off his axis. Where the fuck did you think it was going? Like, oh, you're gonna make a movie because some mysterious force knocked the moon off his axis and it's getting further away. Like, that's not a movie. Like,
have you seen Gerald Butler's film? What was the Gerald Butler film that he did?
Or something? No, I haven't seen it.
I mean, that's comedic in two ways. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's funny. It's a funny film.
Funnily enough, it was written by Roland Emmerich himself.
I mean, yeah, well, Germans love destruction.
And his writing partner, who's written most of his film and the cinematic classic that is Alien vs. Predator.
Ooh.
You know what? Every time there's a movie that comes out and it involves the world possibly ending, I do always immediately think, I wonder if Emmerich had a hand in this.
I don't know what this is for Halle Berry, but I pray to God it's a good film. I'm not even. Yeah. I guess so.
And also,
Josh Gad is in it as well.
Who cares?
Josh Gad is in it.
Josh Gad doesn't. Say again.
In the film.
In this film.
Yeah, this Moonfall.
I believe so. Is that right?
Oh, yeah, he's got to be the comic
right.
relief. He's got to be the Steve Buscemi character. You know, he's got. You got to have that comic relief on the moon while you're digging into it to try and put an explosive in it or whatever they're going to do.
Yeah,
I've got to have the front of the rocket when they shoot it up. I'm good.
I don't know how I feel about this. I just prayed that Roland Emmerich does another good film again, other than Independence Day and a possible Godzilla again.
Universal Soldier.
Oh right, okay, I didn't know that was him.
But don't think they were before Independence Day. Well, obviously Universal Soldier was before Independence Day. Godzilla. Well, I'll say with Godzilla, that was probably not all his fault. I think there was
I don't particularly blame him for that.
In the kitchen.
I mean, I've watched it recently, and it's, I don't know, I secretly enjoy it more than the actual Godzilla films, the newer ones.
Love that.
There's still a chance for a sequel. That egg hatched at the end.
20 years later.
Done it with Independence Day, you never know.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
For me, I liked Universal Soldier. I loved Stargate. I actually really
That's right, Stargate. I was trying to remember what other film.
Stargate was sick.
Okay,
and I love. Who doesn't love Independence Day? I mean, like, it's great.
Oh yeah.
But I think that was his peak.
I don't know. Maybe it just seems like anytime he tries to end the world since Independence Day, he fucks it up.
Yeah.
I didn't see the movie Midway. That was like a war epic thing.
But I never saw it either. Really?
It's basically, he did his version of Pearl Harbor.
It seemed like that.
Michael Bay did it better. Even though that film's an hour longer than it needs to be, Pearl Harbor is a better film. It's instantly more watchable than it makes. Putting Midway next to Pearl Harbor makes Pearl Harbor Oscar worthy in terms of. And that's no hit against Pearl Harbor, because I secretly enjoy Pearl Harbor as well. But
opening third of that movie is solid.
Yes. Yeah, very much so. It's like, you haven't watched it?
No, I've never seen Pearl Harbor.
Wow. Really?
Oh, wow. Oh, are you in for a treat?
I think for me, it ties into the fact that because I know what happened at Pearl Harbor through history and whatnot, it never seems to be an event that I want to watch. Like
this is
it's like Titanic. I know that the boat sinks. So
no. This is these events through Michael Bay's eyes. It's a very different world. This is a very different world. You must watch it. Okay. Well, good luck, Halle Berry. I'll move this on now to.
I quite like what's that? The George Lucas World War II film that no one saw, Red Tails.
Red Tails. That's not bad.
Red Tails was actually really good.
It's not bad.
And the thing was, there was no marketing to it, because like the studios, this is a true story. This 20th Century Fox were like, we don't know how to market a World War II movie about black people. Like, what? That's literally what they told George Lucas. And George Lucas was like, well, I made Star Wars for you, and you guys got all the bank. Sort this out. And then they just threw it under a bus, basically. And how could you not market a film with Terrence Howard as the lead, with Cuba Gooding Jr., Nate Parker, David Oyelowo wasn't as big as he is now, but you know, he was in it. Michael B. Jordan was in it. Bryan Cranston was in it.
There you go. You have your white guy. Market the film that way.
Yeah. And this was in 2012, man.
No. The thing is, I understand why Fox would have a problem marketing that. It's not to do with America per se. It's to do with the rest of the world. If they want to market that film in the rest of the world, it's not going to play to every territory.
That film ain't running through Europe making money.
Yeah, exactly.
I think George should have slammed the Star Wars card a bit harder, man.
Well, I mean, again, look, it's that leaves the studio in a kind of a grind because it's a really hard film to market because of, I mean, the world is the way it is. I'll say no more than that. Again, moving on. Mission Impossible. So Nicholas Hoult has been ousted from his role in Mission Impossible 7 because of the coronavirus.
What? How? How could he?
Scheduling conflicts. So yeah, he's filming a series, which means he can't do the Mission Impossible one.
That's unfortunate for him, man. That would put him on the map in so many different ways, so many different other ways. I remember when was it Fallout? That gave me loads of props for Henry Cavill, man. He needed that kind of that other thing from Superman that showed him that he could do something else.
He is still the best. He has the best 3 seconds of any kind of I'm ready to fight you.
Yeah.
Those arm pumps.
Yeah.
It's the last decade. I mean, you watch it, right? He's so gangster in that one scene. His hands going up grows facial hair.
Yeah, the way he catches that light, he like grows his beard.
Yeah, he put the dukes up, and he went from the nice little farm boy from Smallville to I'm going to be the Witcher in a little while.
I tell you what, Mission Impossible franchise is the second best franchise out there after the MCU.
Yeah, it's just gone from strength to strength. After the mishap of 2, which I will not mention, it just went from 3 to 4 to 5. It just went. They figured out where the middle ground was.
I'm going to say something controversial. I've had a change of heart. I rewatched them all in the lead up to the last one. Mm-hmm. And you know what? When I went back and watched Mission Impossible 2, I was like, you know what? I like this movie. And do you know why I like this movie? Because it's better than all the shit that they put out these days that deem themselves an action movie. And on that, I like Mission Impossible 2.
I don't have
that now.
Nah, I agree. I don't have a problem with Mission Impossible 2 in a sense of the only thing they did wrong was they made him too much like James Bond. So it was all about him rather than the team aspect at that point when the first one was so team. And then that's fight scene with the bike and the guns and the set. That's the only bit that lets this movie down. Otherwise, I ain't got a problem with it.
That's the element I was talking about.
But what you need to be thankful about that movie is because that movie's schedule went over long, Hugh Jackman became Wolverine.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. If there's one saving grace, even if you don't like the movie, if it wasn't for Mission Impossible 2, there'd be no Hugh Jackman.
Dure Scott would be Wolverine.
Yeah, and that would have been terrible. That was sucked.
Well, look, as much as I hate that, it's not that I don't hate it. I hate it. It's just that I don't think it's a Mission Impossible film. It's a John Woo film that has Mission Impossible on it.
Yeah, agreed.
Which, again,
agreed.
It's not a problem for me. But after 1, I expected that level of sophistication with the second one, and I didn't get it. And then in the third one, they had a nice balance between not insulting your audience with, "Hey, this is the MacGuffin." It was a chess game all the way to the. It started off from the middle.
Hoffman in that movie.
Yes, one of the best villains. In my case, I really like.
Did you watch the TV show Mission Impossible?
Yeah, I was a fan of the original. I was when Mission Impossible came out, or when I was I can't remember when they came out when I was 15. It's like, oh my god, they've made this TV series into a film, and I was really happy. I was, and it delivered everything that I wanted from a Mission Impossible film.
And the first one's underrated, you know.
Yeah, it's not to me, man. As far as I'm concerned, it's an intelligent action film that I've always paid tribute to, because you can watch that film over and over again and discover new things about it. And that's what I loved about the shows and now the films, is that they've implemented all of these little things that even you can watch it as an action film, but the underlying layers that attach itself to, like in the Fallout, it makes so many references to past films and situations that Ethan Hunt has put himself into that has led up to other characters wanting him dead, and it's I just love that the continuity of it. And yeah, I'm babbling here, but
and what's amazing is 7 and 8's being shot back to back. You know,
yes,
so,
yeah,
and we're going to get them 1 year apart, which is fantastic. And is it? I don't know how you pronounce his name. Is it S.A. Morales? But he's going to be the new villain.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the guy that Nicholas Hoult.
He's replaced him. Yeah,
right. Okay.
He's the only thing I really know him from, because I haven't seen him much else, but he's in Ozark. And he plays sort of like a cartel drug lord in that, and he can bring the menacing side. I think he can deliver.
Okay. That's good. The guy that they had in Fallout and the one before it, Lane. He was menacing in a very different way. He did it through his voice. I don't know if it was through his voice or the way he looked. He had a very odd look.
Stoner. And it was his aura of
it was his confidence, wasn't it? Yeah.
Like, supreme confidence of what he was doing. And I've rarely seen that in a villain.
It was almost like a I guess you could say like a cult leader. Like where it's like you believe that he believes every word that's leaving his mouth.
Yeah. And just how far he was literally a mirror to Ethan Hunt in terms of what his plan is crazy, but he believes it, and the fact that the villain believes it means that it's probably viable. And so again, I have to applaud Macquarie and who's the guy who did Free?
Who did what?
Bad Robot guy.
J.J. Abrams.
Just for picking up whatever happened after 2 and just riding with a flow. There was more of a flow. It's not. Yeah. It's not an action. It's an action film, but it's also an espionage movie. Yeah. And it's balanced itself out now to it's a perfect franchise.
Yeah, and what it is it's great because they are individual movies, but it does have an underlying common theme that runs through it. You know, and it does. You can look into it as much as you want. I love it, man. as you can tell. But yeah, 7 and 8 back to back. I cannot wait. I just hope this locked. I want to see what Tom Cruise is going to do next.
I don't know how they're going to top Fallout, man.
He's going into space, bro.
Yeah, that's right. He's going into space in one of his films.
He said in one of the films, but they haven't announced what film it is. It has to be Mission Impossible.
It's going to be 7 or 8, man. It's going to be Moonraker. He's going to go into space, man. I'm telling you.
Every time Vin Diesel's like, what?
Fast and Furious to get into space. And Machete.
Oh yeah, Machete goes into space, doesn't it? Well, that was supposed to be the third Machete, right? Or was that the second one?
No, that's the third one.
Okay. But yeah, I babbled on for a while about that. What do you guys think of? Well, is it really news to think about? I guess if you need to change your actor, you have to change your actor. And Nicholas Hoult I think it would have put Nicholas Hoult on the map in a different way. Just because we know him as Beast, or I can't even think of what else he's done other than from About a Boy.
Bodies.
So I mean, I think it would have been a good chess move for him in terms of
and I would have liked to see him in that villain role. I think the trouble is with this casting, if he's playing sort of like some Mexican again, cartel person or something. It's going to be so cliche. And I hope it doesn't go that way. I hope he moves away from wherever he's played before, because the Nicholas Hoult, the way, you'd imagine he would have played it, he would have been quite sinister, but very controlled. Or he could have gone the other way and actually been completely erratic, because we had the controlled previously in the last couple of movies. He seems quite method. He could have gone quite eccentric, and a little bit more OTT. So it'll be interesting to see if the character is going to be changed somewhat based on the actor, as opposed to they're just going to replace like for like and play it the same way.
I hope that they don't, that they do try and basically have the character play and, run, like they don't change any dialogue, don't change the mannerisms, just keep it as it was from Nicholas Hoult to S.A. Morales.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, S.A. Morales, yeah.
Because I don't think you could have a cartel leader in Mission Impossible. I mean, the type of villains that you've had so far are essentially they're about reshaping, restructuring, or controlling the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a cartel boss is that's too lowbrow.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I know what you mean. It's like a lot of people have that issue of the third season of 24. It was starting off with a cartel, and then it was about a virus, and then it was about the British guy using it for his own means. Yeah, well, I know that season was a long time ago, but it changed the tone a lot for that series. And with Mission Impossible, I think it needs to stay with that echelon of because it's CIA level threats of that they're trying to I'm losing my words here, guys. CIA threat CIA level threats of from threats from around the world, and so if it goes into unless it's weaving into something else, who knows? I guess until we see a trailer or have a more of a synopsis of what the film is, the judgment on that. Rant done. Is everyone okay for ending this fairly soon?
Yeah, I think we've wrapped up all our topics today. We're clocking at coming up to 2:05.
Okay, a marathon. Okay. Is there like any little extras anyone wants to talk about?
Just one very quick thing. It was because it's something that you brought up, Joe, where you were talking about when you said J.J. Abrams, was it the guy who directed one of the guy who used to do Pixar films and then moved on, John Lasseter?
Yes.
Yeah, it was how you said they picked up the basic, what you believe are, the crumbled mess of Mission 2 to build it into what it is now. And I think sometimes I feel like it's easier to come on board from a less than ideal film when you're making a sequel than coming in off like the back of like you come in
Mission Impossible.
You're the dude who's got to walk in and be like, oh yeah, you know what? So what film are you doing? I'm going to do a film about the Joker. Right. What? The guy from Suicide Squad? And you're like, yeah. And you're like, cool, I'm all right. Like.
yeah, I get. It wasn't John Lasseter. It was J.J. Abrams.
He did the third one.
Yeah. That was his first film.
Okay.
You're thinking of Ghost Protocol, which was done by
Brad Bird.
Wasn't John Lasseter? It was the guy that did
Brad Bird.
Brad Bird. Yeah.
Thank you. I was getting confused. Yeah.
He did Incredibles and Iron Giant. And,
I mean, it was just from strength to strength. After that, it was he brought it back to an echelon, and then Brad Bird turned it up a notch, and then Christopher McQuarrie I take my hat off to him. He's made it into something that is yeah, he's made a good set of films. Let's stop talking because my mind hasn't caught up with my mouth.
The only thing from me is I'm just going to pimp our friend Dalal. His second feature, 2036 Origin Unknown, is now on Netflix.
Is it? No way.
It's on Netflix.
So it's trending on Netflix at the moment, number 3. So if you like your sci-fi films, go check it out on Netflix. It's 2036 Origin Unknown. Right.
You go. That's that film. I've just seen it everywhere lately. I've just seen the little thumbnail of it. It's just popping up everywhere. What's he filming? Is he still filming for Disney at the moment?
I think that project finished. He's working on something odd of his own again, I think, at the moment. I know he's working with a couple of our friends like Adam and Bachelor and stuff like that. I think even D-Land's helping him with some stuff. So, and I think Colin was involved. So, yeah, he's doing some of his own thing. But, he's a talent man, and he'll get something. He'll get a big studio movie not too far from now, whether it's with Disney or not. But
it's definitely going to be for the mouse.
Networking and making a name now.
Yeah. Well, if you want this, is all of his films on Netflix, or is it just Origin Unknown?
That one at the moment, I think. Yeah.
Right.
His films are on iTunes.
Okay. Yeah. So look around, guys. You'll find him. He's quite a talented filmmaker. He's going to go far. Well, he's a force of nature, almost James Cameron-like. So. Have a grab of his films if you like sci-fi. And what was the show that he did? A couple of shows for Disney Channel, right? Or was it?
I think it was called like Fast Lane or something like that. It was like one of the TV shows. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah. Sach, anything to say? Anything to plug? Anything to?
No, I've got nothing to say. Nothing to do. Nothing. I've got nothing. I've got zip.
I got nothing.
Hashtag the Snyder Cut.
Okay then, guys. Sorry for the what happened at the beginning of the podcast or before the podcast. That was a miscalculation on my point. And thanks for joining us again, Ken. It's been a
pleasure.
Yeah. We've got to join in more of these.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This Zedo Gang podcast is brought to you by Zoom. Zoom for all your conferencing needs. Pay me, Zoom.
That's great. I love that. Neil, thanks for joining us again.
Always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure.